Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's regularly scheduled council meeting for Monday, September the 23rd, year 2019. I am Council Vice President Rich Medina. Council President is unable to attend today. Let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kind of warm in here today. Yeah, it is. Madam Clerk, roll call.
First District Councilwoman Myrna Maldonado.
Present.
Third District Councilwoman Brenda Walker.
Present.
Fourth District Councilwoman Christine Vasquez.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange. Councilman at Large Emiliano Perez.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Councilman at Large Richard Medina.
Present.
Council President Lynn Francisco.
I did receive notice from Councilman Franciski is out of town, as well as Councilwoman Orange. First item in today's meeting is a public hearing. We're going to entertain 3 ordinances today. Madam Clerk, first ordinance for the public hearing.
Ordinance 19-0019, ordinance for appropriations and tax rates, East Chicago Statutory District.
Mr. Bennett.
Mr. President, members of the council, tonight's set aside for a public hearing. I'll try and do a brief presentation of just the sanitary district budget and go through that very briefly, and then we can go on to second reading. I'll be glad to come back and answer questions. Sanitary district budget has increased slightly due to the maximum levy adjustment request. The debt service was paid off this year, so there will not be any debt service. That levy last year was approximately $850,000. So in fact, the tax rate for the sanitary district should go down. The sanitary district general fund, which has a tax levy, basically supports the solids waste department. That's garbage and solid waste pickup. And the services provided by the sanitary districts for that purpose. With that, I'm done. Thank you.
The podium is now open to the general public for those who wish to express whether they are in favor or against this appropriation. With none approaching, that item is closed. Madam Clerk, next item for public hearing.
Ordinance 19-0020, ordinance for appropriation and tax rates, East Chicago Civil City.
Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. The city tax rates are a little more complicated. We have the general fund is the main purpose operating fund of the city. This year, we're proposing a budget of approximately $38.3 million. It's approximately $5 million higher than it was last year. It's $5,537,000. The biggest reason for the $5 million is that last year we did an additional appropriation for $6 million to do the Indianapolis Boulevard project, and that was going to be the city's share. That project has been delayed. We're doing key pieces of it, but we did not get to the part where the city's match money would be necessary. So therefore, since it will not be spent this year, I put it in for next year because we believe in early January or February, that contract will be awarded. So I had to put it back in. Because we will not award a contract, I couldn't carry it over, so we just re-advertised it as part of next year's budget. The other main increases, the police departments and adjustments and how year to year we make these adjustments. The fire department went up approximately $300,000, and the police department went down about $400,000. The other increases are variances, including some small increases that were put in for various departments and staffing. So we'll be glad to get into the details of that with the council, future hearings or second reading, wherever you'd like that. The other funds that have tax rates include the lease rental payment, which is the debt service on the public safety facility, and that approximately budgets about $1.995 million, request a $2 million levy. Remember, we do not get all the levy because of the tax caps, but we have to advertise for it. That building, I believe, pays off in January of '23. We have fire pension. Most of the fire pension expenses are paid through the state. We pay in a percentage every quarter, but we are obligated to pay certain expenses, death benefits, attorneys, and also the pension board secretary's salary. So we've set aside this year in fire pension, we've advertised a budget for fire pension of $2,550,000, and the local levy would be about $100,000. The next one, we did not do a police pension this year. We have a balance, therefore we don't normally do that. We average usually running these levies about $25,000. The police pension fund's been run a little negative, so we want to bring it out of the negative. We have, the next one would be Park and Recreation. The budget's $3,750,000, but advertised. The levy on that would be about $3.5 million. We also have the redevelopment general fund budget of about $865,000 with a tax levy of $675,000. We also then have our public transportation. That's called the transportation fund. The budget's about $1,600,000, and there's a $250,000 levy. There are a number of other funds that are included in this, but those are the ones with tax levies. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, or I'll sit by for public. Thank you.
The podium is now open to the general public for those who wish to express if they are in favor or against this appropriation. With none approach, pardon, ma'am, would you like to approach the podium? The podium is open to you to express whether you're against or with this appropriation for the East Chicago Civil City budget.
Okay, then, I thought you meant if I had something to say. I was late to hear what you were talking about.
Okay, this is for the budget. This is,
Okay.
okay. If you wish to speak after the meeting, you need to see the city clerk. Is anyone, no one else approaching? That section is closed. We'll move on to the next ordinance.
Ordinance 19-0023, sponsor Mayor Anthony Cole. Appropriation ordinance grants fund truancy program.
Is there anyone here to speak on this?
Good evening, I'm Carla Morgan, I'm an attorney with the city. As requested at the last council meeting, provided for the council a packet of information about the truancy program. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the program.
This is the public hearing portion of today's meeting, so just briefly tell us what this appropriation is for.
It is to fund salaries for the truancy, the Project Second Start truancy program, which is a partnership between the City of East Chicago, the School City of East Chicago, and various other not-for-profit agencies, including government agencies and nonprofit, including North Township Office, Geminis, and a number of other local not-for-profits like Moms Taking Charge. But what it does is it fills a void, whereas the school city did not have a truancy program in place. We had a very high truancy rate. It earned us a D in our overall accountability rating from the state last year. And so there's a very great need to try to fill that gap and to ensure that East Chicago kids are in school and they're attaining and getting their getting their diplomas on time. So a program was created and it's being put in place now that would employ 5 truancy officers, a secretary, and provide a stipend for an executive director. The grand total for the salaries is $175,000. And again, that amount just covers the salary. So there are 2 East Chicago police officers who are active duty police officers. They're currently employed by the PD, who have already begun to do outreach to the families who have had chronically truant kids already this year. And there's, we started the school year off, unfortunately, with a high rate of absence at our schools. So again, this is a program that's going to do outreach to those families, provide a program to try to meet the needs. Like, for instance, if kids are absent because they don't have uniforms, the North Township office is going to help them get uniforms, or if because NIPSCO is off, they can help restore utility service and that kind of thing. And and increase our educational attainment of our East Chicago residents' kids. Also, this covers every single school in East Chicago, the public schools, the 2 charter schools, and St. Stan's as well.
What is the total dollar amount for this appropriation?
$175,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Podium is now open to the general public for those who wish to express whether they are in favor or against this appropriation. With none approaching, this item is closed. We are now going into our regularly scheduled meeting. Madam Clerk, first item.
We do not have any minutes. There are no communications from the mayor. Communications from department heads. Accounts payable warrant 09.
Department of Communication.
Did you speak to the clerk prior?
Sorry, no, I didn't.
Okay, well, let's move back in the agenda. Fire Chief?
Thank you. I'm sorry. Fire Chief Anthony Cerna, along with Police Chief Hector Rosario. Apologize for not speaking to the clerk about communications from department heads. In reference to ordinance number 1924, the police and fire salary ordinance, I would just ask the council members if you could consider tabling the ordinance to give us as department heads a chance to weigh in on the ordinance. There's a lot of, I just got this today. I was just able to look at the ordinance today. I don't know if you were able to see it.
This afternoon, late this afternoon?
But if you would kindly table it so we can put it in committee and we could discuss it, so we can figure out just how we would be able to work through this to find the funding for this. The 2020 budget that I submitted didn't have any of the dollar amounts that are attached to a lot of the changes that are in the salary ordinance. There was a budget by the mayor that was also, that he put forth, that he has to spend, or we have to spend according to that budget. I don't know what effect the tax caps, if any, would have, if there's a dollar amount on the tax cap that will cause the city to lose, if it's on pace to lose any money in 2020, if it's $1 million or $2 or $3, I don't know what the effect on the tax caps are. But I know that this salary ordinance would have an effect on our budgets that could be, just on my budget alone, I was looking at, just real quick, trying to count up the numbers, $600,000 or $700,000 that this could possibly cost us, and that's just fire, a 76-member department, police being more than us, 98 or 99, wherever they're at. This could cost the city the ability to protect if we're losing that much money, or we have to come up with that much money on our budget. So I would just ask, and Chief, I don't know if that's the same thing that you were asking too.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as him, basically. Just asking to get it to committee.
please, so we can discuss it further. That's all.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, accounts payable.
Accounts payable warrants 091019CC, 092319CC, 092319BD, 092319LA, 092719CC.
So moved, Mr. President. Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Vasquez. Properly second by Councilwoman Walker. To hear accounts payable warrants as listed. Any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Maldonado?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Vasquez?
Yes.
Garcia?
No.
Medina?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Monroe?
Yes. Motion carries. Do we have any community reports, committee reports? Do we have any board reports?
Henry Rodriguez, the Chicago Waterway Management District appointee. Question was asked last council meeting, what was being done over by the CDF. What's happening now, as I mentioned during the last meeting, is that the Army Corps of Engineers is going to replace that chain link fence with a brick fence. It's going to be precast plates that they're going to put up there, just like there is going down the rest of the boulevard with BP. So what they're doing is they're laying the base, tearing it up, going to lay the base. That new fence is going to be about 3 to 4 feet from the sidewalk. So that's what they're doing over there. The whole length of it's going to replace that chain link fence. All right.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
Ordinance on first reading. Ordinance 19-0024, sponsor Robert Garcia. An ordinance fixing the salaries of police and fire personnel of the city of East Chicago, Indiana for the year 2020.
So, Mr. President, on first reading.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Garcia, properly second by Councilman Monroe. To hear on first reading ordinance 19-0024. Questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
Mr. President, we had the the fire chief come up and discuss about how it's going to affect his budget. This city is sitting on millions of dollars surplus. It should have no effect on his budget whatsoever. None. Should have no effect on PD budget, fireman budget. So I don't know where it says it's going to, what was the exact word he said, unsafe or whatever he said, but the money's there. We're losing officers, we're losing good firemen to other cities, and we need to keep our policemen here, we need to keep our firemen here, and this is something long overdue. You know, the police and fire is the one that took the brunt of the cuts in the past, and here, when the city is flourishing for years, we've been flourishing for years, we've been having a surplus, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years. It's going on years, you know. Now it's time to give back what they gave up. That's all.
Councilman Perez.
Yeah, I just want to point that out, that the majority of this ordinance is giving back to the firemen and the policemen what was taken during the austerity that we went through when the city was in trouble. And when the city was in trouble, we had to cut a lot of those benefits in order to provide services. But now that we're sitting on an abundance, I think that our police and our fire deserve to get back what was taken from them originally. So,
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I asked to get read on first reading. We still got to go back and tweak a couple things on this, some wording here and there. but I plan to have a public safety meeting on it, so just be ready when I call the meeting.
Any further questions? Councilwoman
Yes.
Vasquez.
Councilman Garcia, you're going to call a committee meeting, you stated?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just on first reading today?
Yes.
Okay.
Any further questions? Madam Clerk, roll call to accept ordinance 19-0024 on first reading.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Ordinance 19-0025, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, an ordinance vacating a public alley pursuant to Indiana Code 86-7-3.
So moved on first and second reading?
Second, Mr. President.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Vasquez, properly second by Councilman Garcia. To hear ordinance 19-0025 on first and second reading. Questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, I think Mr. Morrisroe is here to speak on it.
You may recall that this was part of an ordinance before that included this space and also some space in the harbor relative to the Boys Club. At this time, that is separated out and we addressed at a future time. This revised ordinance has the entire alley from Indianapolis to Magoon Avenue, as Mr. Medina had suggested and had brought to our attention before. You'll notice the title is for the vacation of a dedicated alley for Dunkin' Donuts. There is a proposed Dunkin' Donuts. The property is being purchased. It is going to be in this space facing Indianapolis Boulevard. And so we're asking that that alley be vacated. It will also benefit the body shop behind, on the western part, the Magoon Street side of the large parking lot. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Morrisroe? Thank you, Mr. Morrisroe.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, roll call to accept on first and second reading ordinance 19-0025.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Mr. President, motion to
Carries.
suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Garcia, second by Councilwoman Vasquez to suspend the rules on ordinance 19-0025.
Mr. President.
Mr. Buscemi.
Attorney Morrisroe, this petition to vacate the alley needs to be set for a city council public hearing, is that correct?
I believe so.
All right, are you asking that the council take first and second reading action this evening and then set it at the next available meeting for the public hearing and then take the third reading action at that time?
Yes, that would be fine with us.
A motion to
If,
withdraw.
following the point of order, the chair will not accept the motion to hear it, to suspend the rules due to the public hearing that we need to schedule for the next meeting.
For the October 14th meeting.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, next item.
Ordinances on second reading. Ordinance 19-0019, ordinance for appropriation and tax rate East Chicago Sanitary District.
So moved on second reading? Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Vasquez, properly second by Councilwoman Walker. To hear on second reading, ordinance number 19-0019. Questions on this motion? Councilman Garcia.
Yes, did you say the sanitary rate is going up?
Pardon, I'm
Did you
sorry.
say the sanitary rate is going up?
No, I said it's going down. The tax
Going
rate would go down because the bond issue was paid off. By the way, Councilman Garcia, I did provide to the clerk and to Steve a copy of that request for the capital.
I got that. How much is it going down by?
I believe the levy last year was about $800,000. The bond paid off this year.
Any further questions? Madam Clerk, roll call to accept on second reading ordinance number 19-0019.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Vasquez,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Yes.
Perez, Monroe,
Yes.
Medina.
Yes, that motion carries. Next item?
Ordinance 19-0020, ordinance for appropriation and tax rate, East Chicago Civil City.
So move on second reading, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Garcia, properly second by Councilman Monroe. To hear on second reading, ordinance number 19-0020. Questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Bennett, I think I heard you say that you had to put into for the pension for the PD because you're short, is that correct?
Well, it's a very small amount. We've been running a little negative. We're not allowed to have negative balances. And we believe that it's, that when you have payouts for the, whatever that program is, the buyout program, when we have some of that we don't, some cases have those numbers. So it's caused it to be negative for the last couple of years. So this year we put the extra $100,000, actually $75,000 more in there, just to make sure we hope that covers it. We've also asked the state pension board to review that and make sure that we're getting a right calculation. That should save that.
Yeah, I don't understand how that falls short, because when they put in for that drop, it's 3 years in advance. So you have 3 years in advance to put that money into that pension fund. I just don't understand how it falls short.
It's just the way the state sends us the money. I mean, basically, we're only supposed to put up about $25,000 to $60,000 a year. They put up all the balance of the funds. So if we're not getting the total amount of the funds, it's because of the calculation at the state level, not here. And then we've asked the state, we've showed them the problem, and we've asked them to work with us to see how we can make sure this doesn't happen in the future.
So you're telling me the state is the one falling
I
short?
believe it's a state calculation that's not been right.
You agree with that?
Any more questions? Mr. Bennett? Mr. Bennett?
And by the way, we've known this for a couple of years, and we've tried to work through this, so that's where we are.
Are these dollars, most of them for the inherited pensions?
Yeah, this is for all pensions. The state's basically taken over the whole pension.
We
plan.
pay it out and they reimburse. Am I correct?
We pay out the 21% or whatever the percentage is per year now. And, remember, we used to pay that out. Now the state does. On the old pensioners, the prior to 77, we paid that. Now that's all been taken by the state. They do all the calculations. They just send us payments, and we apply them, and we do the distribution.
So those dollars are nowhere in this budget?
Yes, they are. They're
million?
budgeted. We're budgeting the fire pension at $2,550,000.
Yeah.
And we're budgeting the police pension at $3,605,000.
So by the end of the year, all those dollars are reimbursed?
Yes, from the state. Well, we actually get them in advance.
You're not, if that's part of the budget, you're expecting the tax collection to pay that. Am I wrong?
No, the tax collection would only pay in this case, $100,000 we requested. The rest of it would be reimbursement from the state. Now, we do pay from the tax rate, the 21% that we pay in for the present police and firemen, but the payment to the pensioners directly comes from the state. So we pay into a fund and then they distribute it back.
Okay.
Okay?
Mr.
I'm
Bouchard,
sorry if that's confusing.
You have a question, sir?
Mr. President, members of the council. Jim, for clarification, for the benefit of the council, this budget ordinance 19-0020, it appropriates both property tax revenue, but also other fund revenue.
Any miscellaneous revenue, any money that comes into this city must be appropriated by this council.
So, if we're you're looking just at page 1 and page 2 of ordinance 19-0020.
Right. If you,
Total property tax revenue being appropriated is $45,772,000, correct?
yes,
And then there is other revenue on page 1 and on page 2 for a grand total, including the $45 million plus a property tax revenue, that appropriates a total budget, if it's passed by the council, of about $111 million. Is that correct?
well, the budget authorization for the city is $80,754,660.
And how about the other funds?
And then you've got, well, the other funds are, are the non-reverting funds, which is another $31 million, yes.
So if we look at this, if the council looks at this as a spending plan proposed for 2020, the total spending plan here
It's a little over $100 million.
$111 million.
And then the miscellaneous revenue, if you would look at the Form 2 in the budget that was given the council, the Form 2 shows the miscellaneous revenues for each fund, which would show that the money coming from the state.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Madam Clerk, roll call to accept on second reading ordinance number 19-0020.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, next item.
Ordinances on third reading.
So moved.
19-0023, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, appropriation ordinance grants fund truancy program.
So moved.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Monroe, properly second by Councilman Garcia, to hear on third reading ordinance number 19-0023. Questions on that motion? Councilman Garcia?
Mr. President, I just want to thank Attorney Morgan for providing that information. Thank you.
Councilwoman Maldonado.
Ms. Morgan? Yes, thank you for the packet. Just some clarity, the executive director, I noticed you have annual stipend at $20,000.
Yes.
What is the amount of hours of work a week that executive director will be putting in?
You know, I don't have that level of detail of what he's required to, but he supervises all the employees that are involved in the program, and he's liaison between the different agencies and has to make sure the referrals are made to DCS. So I can't tell you the exact number of hours he's going to do per week, but he's already put in meetings I've been in with him, it's several hours a week just in meetings, and then there's a administration piece that has to be done. So I'd only be guessing, but I think he's doing at least 3 hours a day just on this program. But again, I can get that and provide you that documentation.
Thank you. Is this part-time for him?
He works for the school city,
So this is.
and so it's a part-time addition to his duties.
And then a point of clarity regarding the 2 ECPD officers assigned to the Project Second Start.
Yes.
It says $90,000 plus full-time police officers. Can you explain that a little bit more? So these 2 officers then will be assigned to the school city now off of ECPD payroll?
No, they're on the East Chicago Police Department payroll. It's just the vast majority of their time, they're already working with the school city. So they report to work every day, and then they assist with this truancy program. So they've been contacting families. They've been knocking on doors. They've been looking through attendance records.
So then what's the $90,000 for if they're already on?
No, that's the compensation they already are receiving. So if you take their salary plus the value of their benefits, their health care, that kind of thing, that's where that number came from. So then if you multiply it by 2, that's where the $180,000 comes from on page 7.
And quickly, I noticed that You have, is it one truancy officer for the urban enterprise, the lighthouse, and St. Stan's?
Yeah, so the truancy officers, this is where they're stationed. So that's where they'll start the school day. Obviously, the one that floats between those three schools will have to rotate from day to day. So that's where they start, but as they go out and canvass to contact parents and that kind of thing, they're not going to be there, their whole work day. They're going to work together and be at different schools or go to, different areas or work late to make sure they make contact with the parents where the kids aren't attending school.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, Attorney Morgan, when you come back and tell us, because, we just want to make sure this is done right, I don't want to make it seem to the public it's double dipping. He's doing his job while he's getting paid by the school. So how's that going to be clarified?
Well, so Marcus Jefferson is the executive director. He was selected as executive director because he has years of experience in this in a different school city. He's both the the boys basketball coach at Central High School, and I don't have his exact title, but he's an assistant dean there too. So again, he has those duties which are separate and apart from the truancy program duties. So again, this is on top of the job he already has to do. But I can, if you tell me what level of detail you want, like a job description for him or that kind of thing, just related to this program, I can get you that, and how many hours he's expected to dedicate to this, I'll get you that too.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to find out, is he getting, when he does his job, is after his work day, or how is it?
It's separate from, so we have separate meetings. He's going to be required to stay after to run some of these programs and that kind of thing, so. I don't have the exact structure, maybe.
Yeah, I can help you out with that.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes, he'll be working after hours, then he works on Saturday and Sundays too, because he's doing filing paperwork.
Councilman Monroe has been instrumental in helping get this organized too, so he has a lot of knowledge. Yeah, but we'll get you that information if that's what you.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, roll call to accept on third reading, ordinance 19-0023.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes, that motion carries. Next item,
Resolution 19-0014, sponsor Councilwoman Hilda Orange, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago concerning a petition for the use variance to permit a health clinic and additional setbacks at Harbor Square, aka Alder Place, 2300 Club.
So move, Mr. President.
Second.
there's a motion on the floor by Councilman Garcia, properly seconded by Councilwoman Vasquez, to hear a resolution number 19-0014. Questions on that motion? Questions? Madam Clerk, roll call to accept resolution number 19-0014.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes, that motion carries.
Just one point, there were no conditions attached to this, and I wanted to make that clear. Also, the date is today's date rather than October 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. We're now moving to old business. Do we have any old business? Councilman Perez?
From the clerk's office, I had an ordinance. Attorney Buscemi, can you remind me my ordinance number?
Yes, the ordinance is 19-0017.
0017. Did we get any action from the administration on that ordinance? So, Mr. Buscemi, getting no action from the administration after passing on a 5-4 vote, that considered a pocket veto?
It is.
And we have to vote tonight to override that veto?
State statute requires that if there is a veto override vote, it must be conducted at the next regular meeting of the council, which would be tonight's meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we take a vote to override the veto. If I can, I just want to stress the importance. I brought a board up for the public to
Councilman
see.
Perez, let me get a second to that. before-
Second, Mr. President.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Perez, properly second by Councilman Garcia. To entertain a vote on ordinance number 19-0017 to override veto. Questions on that motion? Councilman Perez.
Mr. President, I just wanted to point out, I brought the big board over here so that I just want to highlight what it is that I have an issue with. It isn't the budget. It isn't the $14 million that they want, in this example, out of gaming. It is when you look on the third line of that board and you walk over and it says contractual services. $5.4 million in contractual services and no other detail. So they can use that from anything from paying a lawyer to cutting grass. And the council, once we approve that 5.4, have no oversight. That is our job, is oversight over that $14 million that they're asking. So I don't have a problem with their $14 million. I only wish they'd give me more detail. I want them, if they're going to transfer money from one account to the other, that they would come to the council. And I just think that that's best practices. I think it's transparent government. And that's why I'm pushing forward with this ordinance and like to take this vote for the record on the override. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I agree with Councilman Perez. This is about oversight. Mr. Buscemi, how much you said this budget for next year was over $100 million?
The total budget appropriating all funds, including property taxes and other fees, is about $111 million. And this exhibit that Councilman Perez is referring to is just a snapshot of just the proposed appropriations for the casino riverboat fund, just that fund itself. So this is a snapshot of one page of the budget illustrating the spending plan on that page for about, it looks like it's about $12 million total in the 300 series and the 400 series.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear the totality of that money. You said $111 million?
Yes.
So that's a lot of money, folks. And the only thing we're asking for is transparency, what it's going to be used for. That's all. That's all we want to know, is that a lot of times this council gets bypassed. Not all of us get this information. And I extend my hand to the rest of this council. It passed 5-4 last time. Let's respect this council. It passed. Please vote for this to override this veto. If you vote, if it passed 5-4, vote for this veto, because it's about the respect of this council of doing this job. And you heard that amount, $111 million. That's a lot of money, folks.
Any further questions? Councilwoman Vasquez?
Yes, I just want to say that I agree with you partly, Councilman Garcia, but also what I don't agree with is that I believe we've had transparency when we've asked for documentation. Sometimes we don't get it in a timely fashion, but most of the time we do always get our paperwork from the controller or from Mr. Bennett. But by saying that there's no transparency is kind of insulting to me, saying that when I have voted on something before, that I voted on it without the documentation in front of me. So I just want to make that clear. And another thing, just because Attorney Buscemi states that we have $111 million, it doesn't mean that we have it at will to spend it any way we want. But that's my comment.
Any further questions? Councilman Perez.
First of all, I just would like to address the fact that the $111 million is subject to these transfers being made within series without approval of the council. So that's the distinction here, folks, is you want to get your feelings hurt because you've just given them a blank check for $5.4 million in this example, that you should have your feelings hurt because the taxpayers elected us to do our job, and our job is to appropriate. All I'm asking for in appropriation is to tell me, what am I appropriating? I don't know what I'm appropriating. I'm appropriating a blank check for $5.4 million. I don't think, and I've never have even insinuated that they're doing anything wrong. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. Then why fight this so hard if they're doing nothing wrong? Why not, if they're going to do street surfacing, they can't write 149th Street, Bering Street, the Northcott, and then give us a total? Why can't they do that? Why do they throw it into one lump sum, and then they get to do whatever it is they want to get to do and don't have to come back to the council? I ran for office because I wanted to represent the taxpayers to the best of my ability, and that's what I'm doing here tonight.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, Mr. President. Yeah, in the past, I asked for a lot of information. A lot of information I didn't get, point blank. One time I had to go to the state to try to get it and had to argue the fact that they didn't want to give me the information. So I've never, a lot of times I don't get the information. It takes months to give me information that they have on hand. And the thing is, it's not rocket science. The information is there. Why is it not given?
Councilman Perez?
One more thing. On that note, it wasn't 60 days ago, 90 days ago, that we had a subpoena, this administration, to give me the list of full-timers versus part-timers. That's all I asked for. Give me a list of the full-time workers and your part-time workforce so that I can look at how lopsided or not lopsided it's getting. We're running our city with 35% part-time workforce. So I'm just getting a point out there. Transparency, maybe you haven't been made to subpoena, but I have. I certainly have been one that's been made to subpoena anything I want from this council. Thank you.
Any further questions? Madam Clerk, roll call to override veto an ordinance 19-0017.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
No.
Vasquez,
No.
Garcia,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Medina.
Yes. That motion fails. Any further old business?
Mr. President, just for the benefit of the public, would it be helpful if you explain why the motion has failed?
By state law, to override a veto, we need two-thirds of a vote. Not a simple majority, but two-thirds of 9 council members, whether they're present or not. Unfortunately, there was 5, 6 would have been the magic number. Councilman Garcia,
We're still on the old business, Mr. President.
old business.
Attorney Buscemi, I know we talked at length about that FMLA, correct?
Yes.
What was your recommendation?
What the latest employee memo from the Human Resources Department has done is it has specified that if a city employee wants to use sick leave to compensate for time that that city employee is taking off under FMLA, that they must use the sick leave in compliance with the sick leave policy. But the sick leave policy requires that sick leave pay taken for absence of illness can only be used in 8-hour increments for a current sick balance. So the linking of FMLA time, which an employee has a right to take off, the council members know that Under FMLA, an employee can take time off. You're not guaranteed that the employer will pay you for the time off, but if you need to take time off to deliver your child, to care for a newborn infant, if a spouse wishes to take time off from the employer to care for a newborn infant, if you wish to care for a family member, you have the right under FMLA to take time off, but federal law, FMLA, does not require that you be compensated for the time. The Human Resources memo is attempting to, it does link FMLA rights that all employees have with the current sick pay policy. Therefore, various employees, including the one that you brought to my attention, Councilman Garcia, have been unable to effectively use their FMLA time that they're eligible for in increments. You can take FMLA time off under the federal law in small increments. You can take it incrementally, or you can take just the whole 12 weeks in a consecutive period of time. So, Councilman Garcia, as a result of that memo and that current policy that was issued on August 23, the only remedy, if the council wishes to undertake it, would be to pass an ordinance amending the employee handbook and specifying that when sick days are used for an employee's sickness, even if that happens to be FMLA time that they're taking off because that right's guaranteed by federal law, that they can take those sick days in increments of a half day, 8 hours, multiple days. The council may recall that you had an ordinance before you in April of last year that would have amended the employee sick pay policies to allow smaller incremental use of sick pay and also smaller incremental use of the sick days that employees can accumulate. You didn't take any action at the time because I believe perhaps the administration may have asked that the council hold off on that at that particular time. So Councilman Garcia, in response to your question, if you wish to revise this policy that was put in effect via the memo in August, you may do that by ordinance.
Attorney Buscemi, I will have to get back to you, but the reason this got pulled last year, it was because the mayor said, if we pass this, well, employees, I'm not going to get your bonus. That's what was said. To me, that's a form of bullying. If the council would have passed this last year, he would have gave no bonuses out, which ain't right. You cannot run this city like a communist country. The reason I say that is because the workers here got, 3 days, 6 days? Who in the world gets 3 sick days? Who? I don't know who. It's ridiculous to me, But I hope this council gets together. We need to revisit this personnel policy manual for employees, and let's give these employees the respect that they deserve. 12 sick days ain't much. That's what they deserve. They serve the city, and they serve the city well. But I do plan to bring this back up. But it was a form of, to me, it was a form of bullying, saying that if the council passes this, I'm not going to give you your bonus, which to me, like I said, was bullying.
Any further old business? Let's move on to new business. Do we have any new business? Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, just to speak on that ordinance, fixing the salary of police and fire. I know with the police, there's a 2-tier system. Just to let you know, we're going to work on that. We won't just have 1 tier. That's it. We don't need to have 2 tiers. We need to keep people, not chase them away like we've been doing. So just want to say we will work on that ordinance and bring both unions in with the group to speak on it.
I concur with you, Councilman Garcia. Not only will a 1-tier program and salaries help those that are currently working, but I believe it'll attract candidates to come to our city. I know that we're short in both police and fire, And it's really hard in these days to get qualified applicants. But if a one-tier pay scale was there, I think it'll attract a lot more candidates than we've had in the past. Do we have any more new business? We move now into public expression. To remind those who are speaking before us, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. We will start with Rosa.
Good afternoon. I'm a resident of Marktown since 1978, and we are requesting to the Park Department, to you, to again have, during the fall, it used to be Mrs. Olga Pacheco we would have from 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. to have adult activities such as exercises, and she was trying to get sewing together, and I don't know what happened, they didn't let her do it, the city did not, Park Department didn't let her do it. So the Marktown residents are requesting, again, to have more activities for the adults. When she was there, before she retired, we had a lot of people coming in. And the adults are asking for, like, it's after dinner. The kids are done with their homework. We're just asking if it's possible, or do we have to go to the Park Department, or how do we go about doing this?
This is just for you to express your
Yes.
concerns, and we
Yes.
can get back to you after the meeting with some answers.
Great, thank you, sir.
No problem. Joanne?
On August 25th, I walked my terrier around the block every day. And I noticed that we have, to me, too many pit bulls unattended to, with gates about this tall. And I know everybody loves their pit bull, but your pit bull know you, but they don't know the people. They are just like a little lion in the city. The only difference between them and a lion will eat you, and the pit bull will maul you to death. My husband walked my dog around the block. The dogs, even though you have a fence, you have to realize dogs is very smart. Sometimes they're smarter than people. They dig every day, because when they see what they want to get, they get more excited, and they dig every day. And he got out the gate and grabbed my little terrier. And my husband called me on the phone, Buddy's dead. I said, what do you mean Buddy's dead? And obviously, I don't know who was the boy. I don't even know what happened. But 2 young men walked past, and one of them killed the pit bull. And when I got there, my dog was bleeding everywhere. I wrapped him up and took him to the surgery. That bill cost me $1,700. The owner is going to pay me my money back. Because if you can't afford that kind of dog and the things that you need to do to keep him in check, then you don't need the dog in the neighborhood. There is kids that stand on the corner every morning to go to school. There is no way they could run for those kind of dogs. I suggest that the city, if the people want to have their dog in the yard, and they be in the house, those kind of dogs need a muzzle on their mouth. I don't care what nobody say. Oh, he's so nice. He may be nice to you. Look, I'm a very nice lady, but if somebody was trying to attack me and all I had is my teeth, they get bit. So if I would bite, what do you think a dog would do? And I'm looking at the little kids when I go to work, and I say, oh no, this is not going to happen. Chicago's going to do something about this. You should have a 6-foot fence. When I first moved over there and bought me a German Shepherd, the police came and told me I needed a 6-foot fence. I put it out. This is not your ordinary dog. Now, all dogs bite. But when this dog grabs you, you're going to die. That's just over if nobody's there to help you. Because they lock. Even from a baby, you can see them walking at the heels of your feet and stuff, so you know that's an instinct, just like it is for a lion. And I don't want our children dying, and the people need to know the law, Because if your child get bit by a pit bull and die, people don't think they could be sued. That's a loss of a child's life.
30 seconds, good.
Okay, I'll be done with this, but that's a loss of a child's life, and you're the owner. Do you not think you're going to go to jail? So they really need to stress to the people that have the dogs that you need to pay more attention to your dog because it could cost you your home, your life. She didn't even come over to see what. I said to myself, if she thinks she's with a stupid woman, I don't even like these dogs. And I'm not saying they bad because people love them. But you have to realize they are more dangerous than any other dog. I don't even know what it's breeded with. But they kill like a lion. And I think they should pay more attention to them. And if you see a dog in the yard and the owner is not out there, they should be liable that your dog have on a harness if he's in the yard. Because if he get out, he is going to get out and kill.
Thank you.
And the little kids can't protect themselves.
Thank you. Do we have any more comment cards, Madam Clerk? The Chair will now accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call to adjourn.
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Radcliffe?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
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 Yes, meeting is adjourned.